The Toronto Blue Jays beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-2, and they take a 3-2 lead in the World Series. My name's Yusuf Abbas, and this is not the Blue Jays rundown. This is the Raptor rundown. I just thought that I would give my opportunity to talk about a team that's actually winning, that's going to win a championship, instead of my sorry-ass basketball team that continues to lose game after game, doesn't change anything that they... Toronto Raptors lose 139-121 to the Houston Rockets, falling to 1-4 on the season. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Raptors Rundown. I'm your host, Yusuf Abbas, and the Toronto Raptors are now on a 4-game slide after getting their first win in Atlanta. They're now on a 4-game losing streak. You know, I've been thinking about this a lot today. As soon as the Blue Jays won their game to take a 3-2 series lead, I thought about Friday. You know, I mean, the hype that's going to be around the city. Everyone's going to be excited. I'm going to be in Nathan Phillips Square for sure. I want to be there in the city when my Toronto Blue Jays win in 6. The 6 will win in 6, as always. And I was thinking to myself, you know, everyone else is going to be nervous before the game. Thinking about the Blue Jays. Damn, I can't wait until 8 p.m. or whenever the game is. And then there's going to be me, waiting for 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., whenever it is, for my Toronto Raptors for an NBA Cup game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which we will probably get destroyed in once again. Because just like today, just like the game before, and the game before, and the game before, we're playing another team with the massive size advantage, especially now that we don't have Jakob Poeltl. I know I spent the entire last episode flaming Jakob Poeltl for what he did, and it was well deserved, but his presence was dearly missed today, just because we had nobody over the height of 6'9". In fact, today, starting at center, starting his first ever NBA game, Colin Murray Boyles. After the incredible night he had in San Antonio, Darko Rajakovic trusted him to play center. But before we get into that, some instant reaction to the game today. Not impressed once again on the defensive end. I thought to start the game it would be a little bit different. There was a period in the first quarter where we were actually playing some solid defense to start the game. We were moving on defense. We were actually double teaming in smart moments. We caused a lot of breakups, and we took like a 5-point lead at one point. And then the Houston Rockets woke up and they started to click on offense. In the first quarter, they ended up dropping 39 points, a game high 39 points. Again, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Let me read you some of these quarter scores. 39 points in the first quarter, 31 points in the second, 36 in the third, and 33 in the fourth. You will never win an NBA game allowing your team to score 139 points. And until the Toronto Raptors recognize that, they will potentially go 1-81 unless they recognize it. I had to note down that we were better on rotations, we were a lot smarter with the pressure, until we weren't. It's like a switch flipped and we went right back to how we were against San Antonio and Dallas. I'm making a bold statement right now, and I think you all know what it is. The gambling on these possessions does not work. I'd say we've had a large enough sample size to see that when we gamble and it doesn't work, which happens a lot, we are put at a significant disadvantage on the defensive end. Because when you have RJ Barrett coming in and trying to get a steal, and then Alperen Sengun passes to the open man, our defenders aren't smart enough with their decision making. They aren't quick enough with their decision making to go and make good rotations, and it almost always leads to a wide open shot or a wide open layup or dunk. Jabari Smith Jr. had an incredible start to the game. He was my player of the game. He started well and it continued throughout the entire game. He had 10 of the first 15 or something points for the Houston Rockets. He was hitting some huge shots while we were trying to, I don't know if we call it pulling away, but we were trying to at least. Yeah, he was really effective. I think with the gravity that Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant are going to get during this season, he's going to have a huge role. He's going to have a huge opportunity to step up. Scottie Barnes was the biggest highlight for the Toronto Raptors today. If there was a player of the game for the Toronto Raptors, I would definitely give it to him. He had some huge threes to start the game. Apart from one that he took in transition, which was actually kind of big because it sort of halted our momentum a little bit, but it was a little bit of heat check, so I'll allow it. He took very smart shots, and he has been all season long. The three-point shot is at a ridiculous percentage right now for him. I think it's like 55%, and it's not going to stay that high, let's be completely honest, but I like the shots that he's taking, and I have have faith that he's at least going to keep it above like 34-35% this season, especially because he hasn't been reliant on it. They're daring him to shoot, and he's taking it when they're leaving him wide open. He was also very aggressive in the paint tonight. He was really aggressive, especially in the third quarter when we were trying to claw back into the game, and he was very aggressive in trying to find his shot, which is what we really needed from him. And yeah, the happiest thing I was with him was they were daring him to shoot, and he shot the ball, and it went in today. Other days it may not go in, but I continuously want him to only take these really good shots because it builds these good habits for him. The other person they were daring him to shoot was Boyles. He had an incredible game once again. A couple lapses defensively. He had one play where he didn't grab the ball properly. This has been happening to him a lot in the first couple of games of his career. I don't know what's up with his hands because I feel like he hasn't been catching the ball particularly well, but he did that, and then he went down the other floor and gave up an and one. But he is a rookie, and these are mistakes I expect from a rookie, and I expect him to get better. So once again, a very solid game from Boyles. You saw the defensive impact immediately, and I wish we had a lot of other defenders just like him. And it brings me back to when I was thinking about getting an offensive player from this draft. Imagine we got an offensive player from the draft. We would have no defenders on the entire roster. The last highlight for today was Brandon Ingram, and it is one of the few highlights from this entire season because we haven't had such a pure bucket getter since Kawhi Leonard. The ability for him to get into his spots effectively, the confidence when he's shooting his shots. He had one play where he looked off a wide open RJ Barrett to take a contested three, and I was about to start dissing him and I was about to start roasting him, but then it went in and I found myself apologizing quite literally 5 seconds later. And yeah, man, he's just a pure bucket, someone that you absolutely need on your team. And, you know, I'm willing to overlook some of the lapses on defense because of how good he is offensively. Would I like for him to be better on the defensive end? Yes, but at least he makes up for it on the offensive end by putting up 29 points as he did today. But yeah, him and Scottie Barnes, they had 29 and 31 points respectively, combining for 60 points in total. Incredibly dominant scoring performance from both of them, and I was just insanely upset that we wasted such an efficient game from them as well. 5 for 7 from 3 for Brandon Ingram and 4 for 7 from 3 for Scottie Barnes, and we completely wasted that because we don't know how to defend. RJ Barrett struggled. He only put up 11 shots. I expect that to get better. He's shooting really well from inside the paint, so I think I kind of want to see him take a lot more shots. I asked that of him last game. I want to see him take a lot more. The good thing with RJ Barrett is that when his teammates are cooking, and this is something that I haven't seen from him last year, when his teammates are cooking like Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes, he lets them get the ball. He's only taken 11 shots because he sees that Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes have 29 and 30 respectively. So I think a lot more of his teammates really need to adapt that mentality. Not calling out any other names, but I'm absolutely going to. Now some of the critiques, and there are a lot of them. Number one, the main storyline from this entire game, the rebounding struggle. Now you'd be stupid to go into this game expecting us to at least even compete with the Houston Rockets, one of the tallest lineups in the entire league. You'd be stupid to think that we could compete with them on the boards. In fact, I didn't expect us to out-rebound them. I didn't expect us to not give up any offensive rebounds. In fact, I would have been totally cool with the amount that we gave up. 17, it's a lot, but it's expected. But the biggest issue I had with the Toronto Raptors was that it's not that we didn't get rebounds just because of a lack of size. We gave up rebounds because of a lack of effort. The amount of second, third, fourth, these are called offensive rebounds. Now, usually when you think of an offensive rebound, you think second chance points. But a lot of these offensive rebounds were third chance points, fourth chance points. It's insane how many extra possessions that they got just because of a lack of effort from many of our players. And there was a specific play. It's funny seeing this because I've seen on the offensive end, we'll send like 4, sometimes even 5 guys to try and crash the boards. Nobody gets them, but we send 4 or 5 guys on the offensive boards. But defensively, we're down there against Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun, and we're relying on Scottie and sometimes Jamal Shed to come out of a rebound so that we can go and run the floor and do this fast-paced offense that Darko Rajakovic has adopted. The Toronto Raptors were out-rebounded 53-22, with 17 of those being offensive rebounds. We had 18 defensive ones ourselves. You will not win a basketball game like that. I don't care how good you are on offense. I don't care how well your star players are shooting. You will not win a game giving up 53 rebounds. It's 17 of them being offensive rebounds. I'm going slowly of who I want to blame, and this isn't really, blaming the guy, but Gradey Dick has struggled ever since that first game against Atlanta. Now, as much as I'd like to bash him, he hasn't been the strongest guy defensively, but in my opinion, I don't think he's been getting enough touches like he did in the Atlanta Hawks game. I mean, in the Atlanta Hawks game, we did such a good job of getting our offense initiated through him. Instead of, like we have in the past couple games or in the past, just sitting him in the corner and passing it out to him to try and bail us out by hitting a stupid contested three. We had such a good look of our offense when we gave the ball to Gradey Dick and allowed him to initiate, go off the dribble, take some of those mid-ranges. He's really good at finding a good shot when you give him the ball, but he just doesn't get enough touches anymore. I don't know what happened to the team. And it's hard to get a shooter going when he's not touching the ball as much. There's some of the Miami Heat did really well in the 2020s early on when they had Jimmy Butler and when they had Duncan Robinson. They weren't just sitting Duncan Robinson in the corner. They were getting the ball. They were getting him to initiate some of the offense, getting him to run off screens because all he needed was a little bit of space. And the more touches Duncan Robinson got, the more comfortable he got and the more shots he got. I think we really need to adapt a similar sort of play style or offensive scheme with Gradey Dick. Otherwise, if we don't do that, I don't understand why we don't play Jacoby Walter over him, because if Gradey Dick's not doing anything offensively, he is useless out there because defensively he's a liability. But I have so much faith that if he got involved a lot more, he would be such an asset to this team that desperately needs shooting, desperately needs floor spacing, and overall his gravity as a shooter would help us so much, help free up the middle for Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes. So just a little bit of critique there. Darko Rajakovic, some of these rotations are incredibly confusing. Look, I get that you have a lack of size and you have to try some wacky lineups to try and beat this very talented Houston Rockets team. But Darko Rajakovic, did we seriously get a Jamal Shed and Immanuel Quickley backcourt as a part of our lineup to close the game as we're trying to get back into the game? We are playing one of the tallest lineups in the NBA. We have Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun dominating us on the boards, and you run a lineup with Immanuel Quickley and Jamal Shed. I'm a really big Jamal Shed fan, but just purely based on size, that is never going to work, especially when we're trying to get back into the game. And once again, going back to what I said before, it just led to second, third, fourth chances for the Houston Rockets. And obviously, eventually, with all the talented shooters that they have, they are going to convert. And last but not least, Immanuel Quickley once again. And look, I feel for him because his shot is starting to finally fall from the three-point range. And he listened to my advice and didn't take 17, 18 shots, which takes away from our main scorers in Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and ended with 15 points and 7 assists. The biggest issue, and unfortunately for him, I don't know what the remedy is to this solution because he hasn't ever been an above-average defender, but it's the defense. It just looks so exponentially bad with him out there because there are stretches where we get a couple of stops. The Houston Rockets are a great team as is. They're going to get their buckets, but with a bench lineup, we'll get stops here and there to help us get back into the game. And then we put Immanuel Quickley on, and it's almost as if they have like a free lane every single time. It's like we're playing 5-on-4. And it's hilarious because you can see these teams and they recognize it. It's written on the scouting report. When you have Immanuel Quickley in front of you, attack. And the Houston Rockets did just that. It was insane. I want everyone to watch that, especially that second half of where they were literally looking towards attacking Immanuel Quickley every single time he was out there, and they blew by him every single time. The amount of time Jack Armstrong really emphasized having to stay in front of your man this game is insane, and I'm sorry, Jack, but you're going to have to continue to do that for the rest of the season because I don't think anything is going to change. And I actually have, for the first time, a clip that I wanted to show everybody because this clip is really standing out to me for Immanuel Quickley's defense. Now, I want you guys to look at this clip and look specifically at Immanuel Quickley. I'm going to play the entire clip through and we're going to highlight him. You look over here. Amen Thompson has the ball. He gambles on a steal. Hasn't hustled back into the play until the shot is up. He's late on a closeout right here. Gets blown by once again. And then just for the rest of the possession, he's standing there and just watching as everything's unfolding. And Scottie Barnes, who's already leaked out, trying to get the offense up and running, has to go and hustle back, while Immanuel Quickley is just standing there guarding absolutely no one. I have this written down in my notes. We shot the ball at an elite level, 52%, and we still lost by a blowout. These plays are the reason why we keep losing these games. And I'm sorry, it may seem harsh to Immanuel Quickley, but it's constantly him. If you look at every single defensive possession for the Toronto Raptors, I guarantee you at one point there's someone playing weak, lazy defense, but I can guarantee you more than 50% of the time, it's Immanuel Quickley. And I'm sorry if I'm being more harsh on him than others, but we are paying the man $35 million. Do you not remember that start to the episode against, I believe it was Dallas, where I kept saying 35 million, 35 million, 35 million. Immanuel Quickley's making that per year. So I apologize, but I have way higher expectations for my lead point guard, who we said we were building the franchise around alongside Scottie Barnes. Remember BBQ? That was supposed to be a trio of the future? The Q has not lived up to his expectations. Our next game is an NBA Cup game, the first one against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I feel like I'm just mimicking what I said in the past, but we're playing another big man duo with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Number one, I just want to see us increase our effort on the boards. Isn't too much to ask. Last time, all I asked was for us to not allow them to score 110 points. It was clearly way too big of an ask because they gave up a season high in points today. And now my ask of you for the Toronto Raptors, give up less than 17 offensive rebounds this time, please. The second thing I need from them is just to stop fouling. We've been doing it so much at the start of this season, and I allowed it at the start because we were playing aggressive defense and that was our style, and fouls were going to come with that. And you sort of have to live with those fouls so that the refs understand your identity. Kind of like the OKC Thunder. I feel like they had a lot of fouls called on them early on, but then they sort of built the identity of them playing that aggressive defense. The only issue is our aggressive defense is leading to absolutely nothing. So we're fouling for literally no reason, sending the Houston Rockets to the line 34 times for no reason. 26 points they scored at the foul line. And us, we scored 14. We were 14 of 19. So just overall, we gotta stop the fouls. And the last thing that I need us to do next game is find the people that are on fire. The amount of times Scottie Barnes or Brandon Ingram was on a personal run themselves, and then we go down the floor and they don't touch the ball once on the offensive possession. It is annoying. I know I said perfect Immanuel Quickley offensive game earlier. I was lying. But there was one play where there was 18 seconds left on the shot clock. Brandon Ingram is going off. Scottie Barnes is going off. And he takes a transition three. I get the 3 balls falling today, but you don't need to take that shot. And the amount of floaters that he's taking contested early in the shot clock, you don't need to take that shot. And this doesn't just go for him. This goes for a lot of people. You need to find your stars when they are cooking. And that's it. The Toronto Raptors lose once again to the Houston Rockets. Next up's an NBA Cup game. So technically 0-0. I remember last year it was like Utah or something that started off 3-0 in the NBA Cup game. They had a chance to go to Vegas. So maybe we lose every regular season game, but if we win every NBA Cup game, we end the season with some sort of silverware. So I see that as kind of a win a little bit. I hate my life. Just please show me something in the next game. Show me something to be happy about. Like at least defense. The offense sucks. I can live with that. Just please let the defense at least look competent. We haven't had a competent defense for a single game all season long. You know how insane that is? That's the end of the video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed. I wanted to do a fan question, but I kind of wanted to do that after we get our first win. I said it to myself. I'd ask for a Q&A as soon as the Raptors get their second win of the season. We may be waiting the entire 82 game schedule for that. So stay tuned, I guess. Leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your guys' thoughts on the Toronto Raptors situation right now, and I'll see you guys in the next Raptor Rundown.